Okay, it looks like most people have joined. So hello, this is Lynn from HashiCorp. Thank you very much for joining us today for a webinar hosted by HashiCorp's Director of Training, Geoffrey Grosenbach. A little introduction, you may know Geoffrey from his days as founder of Peatcode Open Source Video Publishing and VP of Developer Content Innovation at Pluralsight, as well as a variety of developer-centric publications. Today, he is leading the HashiCorp training program for all four of our products. Geoffrey will start by introducing the new Learn platform, how to find a track for your persona or personas on your team, and how to go about learning Vault's advanced capabilities like dynamic secrets and encryption as a service. We will then spend the last 15 minutes or so of the webinar dedicated to a live Q&A. I want to remind everyone that this webinar is recorded and will be made available after post-processing. That usually takes within a day or two, and it will be emailed out to everyone. In the meantime, feel free to put questions in the questions box, and we will answer them at the Q&A. With that, I'll go ahead and hand it off to Geoffrey.
Good morning and afternoon, everyone. Thank you for dialing into this brief webinar. And we will display our, okay, screens all over the place. All right. Today we want to tell you about our new Learn Vault platform being launched now for Vault and shortly for the rest of the HashiCorp Enterprise product suite. And what we have provided for you is a platform for learning about our tools from beginner to expert, both as an individual or collaborating on teams. So the agenda for this meeting is fairly brief. We want to tell you about the goals of this project as we're building it, show you a little tour of the user interface, and then tell you about the roadmap of features that we're planning for the future. We started this project because we know that learning Vault can be pretty difficult. Although there are three main features, the details of each of those features and the multitude of ways that they can be integrated with other technologies end up in quite a complicated tree structure of where to start and where to continue and where to finish and then where to go next. And, you know, even just in a limited diagram like this, you can see there's quite a lot to learn. We had been publishing quite a few different guides with hands-on examples, reference material, deployment guides, these kinds of things on our existing Vault Project.io site. And we had 20 or 30 guides that have been published, refreshed, and updated over the last year. However, these were mostly just presented in a flat structure where it was on you to figure out how you needed to proceed from one to the other, or to maybe assemble your own learning path for specific roles of the different members on your team. So we started a new project to take the existing material that we had and build a better workflow for you to learn from it. So here were our goals. First, we wanted to continue to have free and open source training content. We know that for many vendors, education is a revenue source, but for us, we believe that we want to provide all of this material that we can to you so that you can educate yourselves and your teams, and that is available to you on the open web and open on our website. We also wanted to assemble learning paths so that if you wanted to learn a specific feature of Vault, such as identity and access management or encryption as a service, that you could see a collection of topics that would help you to learn those features, or if you had a specific role in mind, such as developer, operator, or security. We wanted to design this with a very clean design to match the rest of the direction of the HashiCorp portfolio. We wanted to make the design a little bit more concise, especially in some areas where we wanted to be able to communicate to you what products projects were being covered, how long it might take to work through a particular hands-on exercise, the level, beginner, intermediate, advanced, that type of thing, but to make this more concise so that you could see it quickly and then get onto the actual content to learn. And then multimedia, pretty much all of the content that we've published so far has been available as text, and we will continue to support that, but we wanted to make it easy to integrate video or even in-browser hands-on labs that you could use to get started or advance your knowledge on an environment that was already set up for you. And then we wanted to make sure that we had clear entry points so that you knew where to stop. And then once you had completed a path, that you would have a clear idea of where to go to next. And then finally, in this modern world, want to make sure that you could learn on a desktop device, or that all this content would be easily readable and consumable on a tablet or a mobile device, whether you want to learn on the go or use that as an auxiliary screen as you work through the exercises on your main device. So here's what it looks like, and this is available today. Over on the left, we have a list of all the topics for this particular track. Right now, we're looking at the Getting Started track, and we have 8 or 10 topics, all the way from installing Vault to starting the server to storing and retrieving secrets. Over on the right, we have given you some navigation within this page. So this may be a list of prerequisites, it may be a series of tasks or steps, it may be some reference material, and we give you a quick way to navigate through that so that you can jump right to what you need. We understand that many students will learn in a just-in-case style, where they will dedicate some time and work from top to bottom through a tutorial. And other people like to learn just in time, to where they're solving a specific problem and need to come see how that can be done. So we think these two kinds of navigation will help you find what you need in either case. Then we have, of course, the title of the topic and some metadata about it. And then we have the actual content of the tracks of the topic, so that you can read through, see code samples, and link out to all the resources. Finally, we have this breadcrumb navigation for you at the very top, where you can select another track, or you can select another topic within this track. Speaking of the high-level tracks, we have launched this with 7 tracks, which you see here. So we have our Getting Started, which is a great place for anyone who has not used Vault or would like a quick refresher on the very basics. Next, we have Secrets Management, Identity Access Management, and Encryption as a Service. So these are 3 main features of Vault, where we think that you'll like to direct yourselves to if any one of those features are your initial use case, or the way that you want to evolve your usage of Vault. And then finally, we've created tracks for specific roles. So your security team, planning out your security architecture; operations team, who is deploying clusters, maintaining, thinking about replication and high availability and scaling; and then developer, for those individuals who are writing applications that use the features of Vault. Within each track, we have a list of topics. So here we see some of the topics in the operations track, where you can learn things about production hardening, or high availability, or even enterprise features, performance standby, and these kinds of things, as well as integration with various cloud resources such as AWS Key Management Service. As far as the content, we have worked to make this just a clean design, and you'll see code samples that you can actually copy and paste, or commands that you can use on your own machine, or however you would like to use those. We've included videos on a few of these topics, and we'll be creating more to accompany the various hands-on tutorials. Here's a great way for you to just watch a video of someone working through the steps in the tutorial without needing to set everything up yourself. And this is a good way just to get a quick overview of how it works, to see the various input and output, and to view that just in a short period of time. We understand that many people enjoy video, and so we will never go 100% video, text, or other formats, but we do want to make each of those available so that you can choose how you want to learn. And speaking of which, we have also created in-browser interactive experiences for many of these guides. So you will see those linked from the various pages, and we're currently using Katacoda, which gives you an easy way to see a list of instructions down the side, some clickable commands that will execute in an in-browser terminal, and sometimes even a text editor where you can edit Vault policies or other files needed to complete the tutorial. So let's briefly look at this. We have our main platform here at learn.hashicorp.com, currently available for Vault. We also launched some initial getting started material for Consul last week, and very shortly we will have content for Terraform and Nomad as well. Let's look at Vault. So we have our main landing page here with our getting started and our advanced tracks. Down in the advanced tracks, you can select the different features, encryption as a service, those types of things, or a specific role like operations. Within operations, then, we can look at specific features. For example, performance standby nodes. We can see that this is an enterprise feature. We wanted to make sure that we're providing you with documentation and hands-on experiences, not only for the open source features, but for the enterprise features as well. Up here, I can navigate to different topics within this learning track. So if I go down to our auto unseal, we'll see that here we have a video and you can learn from the video. And then on the navigation, we can go down to certain sections such as additional reference material, whether that's on other HashiCorp documentation sites or elsewhere on the internet. So what is our roadmap? Well, we are confident that you will receive value out of what we've published so far, but we want to build on this and make it even more useful for you. So we're looking at the ability to allow you to log in and save your progress, potentially even with some kind of reporting so that you can see what you've learned or what your team has learned. We're looking at embedded interactive experiences to where, in line with our various code samples, you could execute those against a prepared lab environment right away as you're learning. We'll continue to create more videos. We've interviewed members of the Vault engineering team, the product manager, and in addition to examples of all of these labs. We are creating new lab guides for new product features, and very exciting that as Vault 1.0 comes out, we will have guides, and in fact, some of those have already been published and are being published shortly, so that you'll have learning material for Vault 1.0. We understand that while Vault or Terraform or other products are often an entry point for learning about the HashiCorp stack or for doing DevOps, that more and more people and companies are using many of our products together. So we'll be creating more guides that integrate multiple products, whether it's Vault together with Consul or Vault together with other cloud resources. We're also working on search. We recognize that's been something that's been a long time coming, but it's a way that most of us are used to navigating the vast majority of the internet, and so we want to make good search available to you. And then examples on multiple cloud providers. Many of our examples so far are on AWS, which we'll continue to support, but we're also working on examples for other cloud providers as well, so that you can learn and then immediately be able to apply what you learned to your environment of choice. And as an open source platform, we will soon be making it available for you to contribute to these guides if you want to contribute a bug fix or an entirely new guide from scratch. We do this in Markdown text format, which is the same as all of the rest of our API documentation and our other websites. We will store this content in the existing product repositories. So for example, GitHub HashiCorp/Vault, you will not have to go to any different repository from the ones you're already used to. We have our other website content there, and we will be putting the learning content into that as well. Contributions will be merged just via our standard pull request process. We'll review those. We'll give you the opportunity to start a local development server and see how it's going to look. And then we will push that to production either as pull requests are accepted or possibly on more of a batch schedule if they relate to upcoming features and things like that. So we're excited for you to use this platform, and we're excited to hear from you. We want you to be able to embed these documents in your existing learning management platforms, but we also want to hear what you need from this platform and how your experience is. So does your team prefer self-guided experiences or more instructor-led with more lengthy videos that maybe span a few hours? Do you prefer step-by-step textual instructions, or do you like the video accompaniment, or do you find it useful to have in-browser interactive experiences so that you don't have to set up a local environment? And then what topics, stacks, and features do you need to learn in order to empower your team? We understand that you may be learning for yourself, you may be gathering resources for the rest of your team, or you may be putting together an overall education plan for your whole company. We're always glad to hear from you about that at training@hashicorp.com, whether you're looking for specific training or wanting to engage one of our authorized training partners to come in and provide a full day training for you, or if you have feedback and ideas about this platform and how you would like to use it. So with that, I will hand control back to Lynn and field any questions or comments that you have.
Sounds good. Thanks, Geoffrey. There are a couple questions that rolled in. The first one was, is it easy to tell which topics apply only to enterprise?
Is it easy to tell? Right now, we do not have a high-level indicator of the enterprise topics, but as soon as you get into a topic that it does relate to enterprise, you'll see a yellow bar across the top, and that will be pretty obvious. So we have gone through and made sure to mark the enterprise features. It's not going to catch you by surprise. So yes, that is indicated, and as we build out other search and filtering, we'll look at other ways for that to be filtered out or to be searched for.
Great. The second question is, we use Jenkins and Jenkins uses many secrets. Do we currently have a guide on Jenkins and Vault integration?
Jenkins is used by many people, and we understand that that is widely used. I know that we mention Jenkins in several instances. I'm not sure that we have a full end-to-end guide, but that's definitely on our radar. So it's great to hear from you that that is of interest to you, and I will take that back to the team. I know it's something that that we're definitely aware of, and we have at least pieces of guides that reference Jenkins, if not one that's end-to-end.
Great. The next question is, are you planning to have a YouTube-based training playlist?
We have already published a few resources on YouTube, and definitely together with the marketing team, we've published quite a lot of different videos. Most of those, however, have been more high level, overall philosophy of the product, how it fits into the cloud infrastructure. that type of thing. And a large part of my background for the last 10, 15 years has been all around video. And so, in fact, yesterday I was working on various video resources. So yes, we're going to be publishing more video resources, and a playlist on YouTube sounds like a great idea. We definitely want to make it easier for people to discover our resources if you are browsing on other sites. Right now, we're focused on having a nice, clean, organized experience on this learning platform. So that's kind of the primary way that we are organizing this material, but we definitely will be publishing it out to other platforms as well.
Great. The next question is, do you ever plan on having a HashiCorp Learning certification?
Uh, at the risk of getting ahead of ourselves, yes, we certainly do. That's been requested by many. It's been on our radar for as long as I've started at HashiCorp, which is about a year ago. We are in, now that we feel like we have a good foundation of internal staffing and foundational content for our updated full day courses, which were taught at HashiConf just 2 weeks ago, and now this learning platform, it is certainly a priority for us within the next couple of quarters, if not sooner, to be thinking about the various certifications that might be needed and how to address those at different levels and for the different products.
Great. And for someone using Vault in a DevOps environment, where would you recommend they start in terms of use cases on the learning path?
Well, we definitely have the getting started track. That is, that's going to take you less than an hour to work through the getting started, but is good for anyone in any role using any of the features to go through that. Next, I would say go for one of the feature tracks. We find that usually people are adopting Vault because of one of the main 3 features. So I would pick one of those features, encryption service or key management, and work through the topics in that, and that would be a great place to get started.
Great. The next question relates to someone is looking to automate certificate management in their infrastructure. They think Vault's a good tool, and they would like any recommendations on what a good tutorial might be.
That is a great question.
Both on Learn and potentially external that we've put out.
Right. We just created and taught a whole intermediate Vault course at HashiConf, and we'll be republishing that material both to this learning platform and in other video and other formats. So that covers some of those topics. I believe it would be in the identity and access management track that you would want to look for that. But yeah, certificate management is certainly a core feature that we find a lot of people using.
Okay. This is somewhat of a hot topic, but 3 people asked, will there be any doc references for integrating Vault with Kubernetes or a training module or just additional documentation?
One of the reasons I love working at HashiCorp and is not only the products, but the approach we have to the industry, and we want to support you using whatever stack you want to use in whatever way. So recently we've put a huge amount of development time into Kubernetes integration with Consul. So right now that was kind of our first big push to making that available, but has given us lots of experience inside the company with Kubernetes. I do not believe we currently have a guide, but there's some others out there on the internet that I can help find for you, and is certainly a thing on our roadmap, Kubernetes integration.
Yeah, and someone just to follow up on that referenced a good guide would be deploying Vault and Consul with Kubernetes. So cool. Next question is, this is perhaps just a recommendation. but someone would like to find more Vault architecture best practices or user stories regarding Vault installation in an on-premise environment.
Yes, if you look at our operations track, that starts with a Vault reference architecture and a deployment guide. Those have been assembled by our enterprise architecture team who are out consulting with companies all month long, companies of every size, but honestly, mostly large companies. And they have taken the things that they've learned from that and put those back into those reference architectures and deployment guides. So the operations track is what you'll be looking for there. As far as on-premise specifically, we're going to assume that you already have used Terraform or other means to set up the compute resources that you want to run Vault on, and then we will guide you through that with these reference architectures as far as storage, compute power, networking, these kinds of things. So look for the operator track, and you will find some really good documents there. And if you find that you need more, we'd love to hear about it because, like I say, we're out there advising companies, and we work that back into these publicly available reference materials.
Right. And for someone looking to find a holistic version of the Vault API doc, where can they find that on Learn or HashiCorp.com? Specifically, they're looking for a downloadable version as well as a potential Learn track for Vault APIs.
Right. Our developer track will talk to you about how to interact with Vault from more of an applications standpoint. We do have full API documentation on vaultproject.io. As far as a downloadable version, we're not currently offering just kind of a single click zipped version of the API documentation. We assume that people want the latest, most up-to-date version of these documents, and so we keep that at vaultproject.io. And as far as a tutorial that works through that, that's more infused throughout all of these guides, the various ways. Actually, the vast majority of the guides will show you examples both with the command line, the web interface, and the API as far as accomplishing any of the different tasks you need to. So that is throughout all of the hands-on guides.
Great. Is there any plan to have an extended version of a quick start for AWS document? They're specifically looking for a guide that is very brief and strictly deals with basic Vault and AWS installation.
A brief guide on AWS installation. I will take that down and take that back to the team. We have deep integration with all of the major cloud providers and are in constant communication. So we understand that these platforms are destinations where people are installing Vault. As you saw there in one of the examples I showed, we do have AWS KMS integration, but as far as like deploying a Vault cluster on AWS from scratch, in any communication that goes out from this, after this, I can give you a link to some of the Terraform scripts that our solutions engineering team have put together for a place that you could start. But beyond that AWS quick start, I'll take that back to the team, and we'll look at implementing that.
Great. Along with the same content topic line, there were two people that asked any guide that's available to go over how to protect the master key on Google Cloud HSM. Along the same lines, how is Vault issuing private keys and how they're protected with HSMs?
Yes, we do have significant HSM integration. For the full experience of that, you will want the enterprise product. So I would look for that specifically. I'd look in the operator track for examples about HSM, and then in the most recent full day Vault 200 level course that we just developed and taught at HashiConf, we included quite a bit in there about various HSMs. So, you know, that can be more specific, but we do have some resources and we'll be repurposing and publishing those to this platform based on the full day course that we just created and presented at HashiConf.
Great. And I think you will like this question, Geoffrey. Is there a way to get the learned contents offline? The goal would be able to use it on the go.
Good question. At the moment, we do not provide us a single click download of all this content. However, it will shortly be in the GitHub HashiCorp/Vault repository in a single directory, and you could download it from there. As far as other offline consumption, at the moment, that would probably just be on you to use another tool that would download the entire website, which is certainly possible, and you're free to do that.
Got it. Some other questions include how can we use Vault with a Docker stack, and is there any existing resources out there for that?
Yeah, using Vault with the Docker stack. I think if you're thinking about that from a developer standpoint, then accessing Vault is not going to be significantly different if it's happening from Docker versus happening from other, non-containerized implementations. Specifically, I have a two-service demo application that I've developed for some of our various trainings, and you'll see that mentioned in a lot of the Consul documentation. And I was able to wrap that up in containers without even recompiling the application, and I deployed it to Kubernetes and these various things. So I would focus more on just making sure your application is communicating to Vault in the way you want it to. Of course, you need to discover your Vault instances. For that, we would point you at Consul for your services to discover each other. Beyond that, if you're talking about specific secrets management solutions within Docker, I would, like I say, look for the upcoming Kubernetes integration, which could solve some of that if you're running your containers within Kubernetes. If they are just more isolated containers, I think it would end up just being about discovering your Vault instances and then using our various API or CLI or however you want to integrate with that.
Great. Any plans of creating Terraform plans for creating Vault clusters, or some directions or documentation? Currently, it's a very manual step-by-step process.
Due to how Vault is used, especially at larger enterprises, we understand that it is probably more of a limited, more limited team will set up the Vault cluster, and then a large number, even thousands and tens of thousands of practitioners will use the features of Vault that have already been set up. However, we do understand that you need guidance on setting that up, and we want to make that easier for you. So we do have some reference Terraform configurations prepared by our solutions engineering team, and that will help you set up your Vault cluster. So we can point you to those, and otherwise I direct you to the operations track, which does talk about setting up your Vault clusters.
Great. Along those lines, a couple people mentioned that Vault is lots of configuration management, and they would like to see more material related to configuration management in the trainings or learning tracks, and that would help enterprises significantly. Another question is, where can one take Vault full day courses that are part of HashiConf? Do you schedule them often? And this person has only seen them as part of HashiConf, which is once a year. So that's good. They want more training.
Wonderful. We are always glad to hear from you at training@hashicorp.com or hashicorp.com/training, where you will see a list of public training events offered by our training partners, both on site in various cities or virtually. We know that US West Coast and US East Coast, we offer frequent training events, or you can engage with one of our training partners to come present at your facility or virtually to your specific team. We are in the middle of training all of our training partners on the new material that we've created for HashiConf, and that is, happening currently or in the next couple of weeks. So look at hashicorp.com/training or write into training@hashicorp.com, and we're glad to help you out with that.
Great. There are a couple of questions just related to product that I'm not going to go into. We'll make sure to answer your product questions after this webinar. There's some other recommendations on content. Someone mentioned having a vault vagrant images for learning, as well as it would be helpful if product versions were referenced throughout the training and documentation in case there are some features that are not available in specific versions. Geoffrey, do we currently specify which version of Vault these guides apply to?
We will tell you within these guides if a specific feature was introduced in a particular version of Vault and that you need to make sure you have at least that minimum value, minimum version. We do recognize that over the fast growth of HashiCorp as a company and of the tool set, although many of these tools have been around for half a decade, or in the case of Vagrant, a decade, that most of the time we've just assumed that you're going to be on the latest version and you're going to be wanting all the features and bug fixes and capabilities of that. When we think about versioning, usually it's people wanting to get reference to older versions, and you're right, that's not something that we make easily available. It is something that our documentation teams are thinking about, all the way from API docs to these hands-on guides and things like that. It will continue to be the case that we're creating material that do work on the latest versions, and will tell you if a particular feature was released in, or if you need a minimum version in order to be able to do that. So nothing to announce at this time, but version documentation is something that we are thinking about and want to find a good solution for.
Great. And another topic recommendation is having a Vault cheat sheet for commands. And I think.
Great suggestion.
Yep. Thanks. I think it's me here for submitting that. And those were most of the training related questions. There's a lot of product related questions that we'll reserve for after this webinar. So with that, if there are, someone has a final comment. Glenn just wants to recognize all the awesome training you already have accessible. So thanks, Geoffrey. Thanks, Glenn.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah, so I think that'll wrap up our webinar. So thanks everyone for joining, and hope you get a better understanding of the new Learn platform. As Geoffrey mentioned, we'll be rolling out Terraform Consul moving forwards. If you want more webinars, you can visit our website at hashicorp.com/events. And again, the Learn platform is learn.hashicorp.com. And finally, as I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, it is recorded, and we will make the recording slides and answer your remaining Q&A that we did not get to on our website after post-processing, and that will be sent out within a day or two. So keep an eye out in your inbox. And with that, we're going to wrap it up. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone.